Greetings and welcome to Discussions. This is the Newsletter Censored team coming to you live from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. My name is James P. Madonna of Megalife 21, the hardest hitting internet talk radio station on the planet, and I am here with my co-host and mentor, the one and only, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. How are you today, sir?
No!
Spring is in the air. There's a lot of traffic out today. The sun is out bright and shiny, even though they say we're going to receive light snow and rain tonight. But tomorrow's forecast for Sunday is pretty damn good. So maybe the big fat rat was right, the groundhog.
The both groundhogs.
Two of them?
Punxsutawney Phil and Staten Island Chuck.
Well, because Punxsutawney Phil is probably getting old. He's been around for a long time.
Been around for a while.
Anyway, you're probably wondering why what I'm holding in my hand. This is an authentic Irish shillelagh made of fine blackthorn wood, imported from Ireland. So, being that St. Patrick's Day is not that far away. I mean, March 17th, it's, Saturday, February 26, 2011? Hey, St. Patrick's Day. So to you Irish Americans that want to buy authentic, fine, imported Irish products, go to www.xaviergifts.com. That's Xavier gifts.com, and you'll see it. It's the largest selection of imported Irish products, and besides, this is actually symbolic. This is my new prop from now on. It's symbolic of the oppressed little guy from the fat cats, from the elitists, that what's going on in this country with conservative two-party system politicians that are in bed with greedy, evil corporate CEOs, and putting the tax burden on you, the middle class and the poor, and taking the tax burden off the rich, and of course outsourcing your American jobs. So this is very equal to the British monarchy when they used to oppress the Irish for many centuries. So this is the fight of the little guy up against the fat cats. Anyway, let me put my reading glasses on, because unfortunately I gotta use them.
The newsletter is under...
What's that? Under here?
Yeah.
Right there?
There you go. There you go.
All right. Well, I'll bring up the newsletter later on. The newsletter is the backbone of our organization. Okay. Before I begin, this guy right next to me, this is a self-portrait of William J. Eisenman, Ph.D., my mentor, the founder of Newsletter Censored in 1977, and my co-host. This is a self-portrait of him. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is a fine watercolor artist, and you can go to our website, any number of websites, and check out the William J. Eisenman collection, and if you like something, send him an email and see if the painting is still available. and the bidding starts at $500 each. You can go to www.newslettercensor.com. You can go to his William J. Eisenman Facebook profile, or you can go to www.myspace.com/Megalife21. The William J. Eisenman collection. Now, well, it appears that, okay, Rush Limbaugh this past week, Rush Limbaugh was really nitpicking on Michelle Obama's figure because she's going around the country giving lectures about healthy eating and teaching our children, I believe, to eat properly. And it's an anti-obesity campaign, since obesity is an epidemic in the United States. Rush Limbaugh is picking on her because she ate, I believe, a rack of barbecued baby back ribs one night or something to that effect. And he was saying that she shouldn't be eating it because she's overweight or fat or something. He was criticizing her figure. Meanwhile, he still has a gut. And she looks a lot better than he will ever look, even if he lived like a few centuries longer. So he should not talk. You know, it's like the pot calling the kettle black. And it's typical conservatives. If it's a Democrat, they'll look for any little stupid petty thing to complain about. Then we have here, okay, Alex Rodriguez was in the news, and it's not about his performance as a baseball player. It has to do with the city of New York, where he owns this very expensive apartment or condominium. Alex Rodriguez, among, I believe it's around 45,000 wealthy residents of New York, are not paying their fair share in taxes. No kidding. Alex Rodriguez apparently pays about $1,000 in taxes for his multi-million-dollar condo or whatever. Meanwhile, the average home, middle-class to lower-middle-class home, the people have to pay thousands more. I think over 3,000 in a very modest neighborhood outside of Manhattan somewhere. One of the boroughs. It looked like a very modest home, but it was like the taxes were between 3,000 and 4,000. Meanwhile, the wealthy Alex Rodriguez only pays 1,000, and Mayor Bloomberg, of course, a Republican, conservative, New York City mayor, has cut the taxes from the rich who live in New York City, which is about roughly 45,000 of them. So it doesn't surprise me. He cut the services. That's why the snow removal was really sucked in New York, just like the snow removal really sucked in New Jersey with Chris Christie. But Alex Rodriguez has the nerve to charge people like $700 for an autographed baseball bat. Now, Dr. Bill, I remember the days when professional athletes played for the love of the game, and they didn't have these greedy agents constantly clawing for more money, but they used to give autographs for free back in the day. $700 for an autographed baseball bat?
How many bats can this guy have?
How much money does he need?
Jeez.
No, I mean, charging hundreds of dollars for an A-Rod signature. All right, incredible. Now,
It won't be worth anything for years and years and years.
yeah, right. Now, Chris Christie, speaking of the devil, Crisco Christie, in his budget speech this past week, was, of course, telling all of us that we need to make sacrifices again. Meanwhile, Chris Christie is not making sacrifices, and neither are the rich. And of course, it's always the little guy that has to make sacrifices.
Yes.
As far as the conservatives go. All right. Christie also said in his budget,
Because they're the job producers over in China.
in China and India,
Yeah.
and maybe Singapore. So Chris Christie he got a little magnanimous.
Ooh.
He's a little bit more compassionate because he wants to give people the property tax rebate, but there's one catch. He'll give you double. He's generous. He'll give you double the property tax rebate if you can prove that you can pay 30% of your health care bill.
Yeah, if you can get that through, yeah.
Now, how many people, especially people living on a fixed income, that depended on the property tax, on the rebate checks, how many people actually can afford to pay 30% of their health insurance, of their health care? A lot of people don't have any health insurance.
Well, he's talking about the teachers.
This is strictly the
He wants the teachers to be paying 30% of their health insurance, and he wants them to throw in for their pensions.
So this is tied into the Wisconsin, what's going on in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's all a deliberate conservative thing for the last 35 years.
Anti-union.
They're moving now like a steamroller, man, that they've got all this power.
Governor Walker, and I'm proud to see those New Jersey union people out there protesting and fighting for the union workers in Wisconsin. Way to go. New Jersey union members. All right. Very, very nice of you to go out there and support the people on protesting in Wisconsin.
Yeah, because that's what's at stake. The conservatives want to break the unions because the unions are the big contributors to the Democratic Party.
Oh, they don't like that.
No, they want one-party rule forever.
Yeah, and that tape that video I sent you when
which I did not get yet.
Governor Walker was
he was
the interview
the reporter who pretended to be one of the Koch brothers,
right?
Who are big supporters of conservatives, give all their big money to them, so they do things for them. I mean, that's what that's all about. So you can see that Mr. Walker is in their pocket.
And Walker was in their pocket, and Walker also said that he'd like to take a baseball bat to the heads of the protesting teachers that were getting laid off.
Yeah.
Now, if you're laid off because of a conservative Republican politician, I wouldn't try to be violent with them because they might be more angry than you are. They might kick your ass, brother.
They bust into Tea Party people to try to create violence.
Antagonize.
Over there. That's correct.
Antagonize.
That's great. Now, you got to understand something about the Walker and Wisconsin thing. There is no budget problem in Wisconsin.
Right.
What happened was Walker gave a tax cut to the rich.
What else is new?
And therefore, he wants to make up the money from the unions, and the teachers, and etc. That's the problem. In other words, he created a fake budget crisis to bring about this destruction of the unions and etc. That's what happened in Wisconsin.
So what does Governor Walker and Chris Christie expect people to do? Roll out of bed, bust their ass for like a little bit of money?
They don't like Gary Null says, the 20% or the 30% on the top don't give a shit what the bottom does. There's 240 million people in the United States who are hurting.
That much?
Yeah. And the other 60 million are not hurting whatsoever.
All I got to say is don't expect people to do a good job at work, because I wouldn't be dedicated if I was getting minimum wage with no benefits. Screw that. I'll just barely get by the skin of my nose.
They don't expect you to be happy at work.
No, I'm talking about
slave labor.
I'm talking about productivity. Don't expect high productivity, because people are going to be very disgruntled with that kind of a job.
American people, but once they turn America into a third world country, and people have to survive, on a dollar a day or something, there's no fight left in those kind of people.
Well, conservative corporatism is definitely the devil's economics, without a doubt. And by the way,
covered over with a fake Christianity front,
There you go.
Thank you.
And what about the fake Blue Dog Democrats who campaigned as progressive liberals and lied to the voter?
The Dummycrats?
The Dummycrats. There you go. Hey, the redistribution of wealth I believe is commanded by the Bible, because it's loaded with information about the rich giving to the poor, helping the poor, and the earth's natural resources should be shared, right, with everyone. And also it mentions giving up your worldly material possessions to enter the kingdom of God. The Bible's loaded with it, information like
That's why the conservatives wish to change it.
Yeah.
Set about changing it.
Exactly.
Make it more conservative friendly.
Yeah, conservative friendly. Conservatives, in a nutshell, is like buy low and sell high. And deregulate businesses so they have a right to lie to you and deceive you and rip you off. It's really a sad state of affairs. And that's basically it. Okay.
70% of all the foods, boxed and otherwise, in the United States are now genetically modified.
There you
Along
go.
with soy, 70% of soy is also genetically modified. They don't, and also irradiation.
Irradiated foods.
They don't say on the label
Yeah.
that the food is irradiated.
Mhm.
They say things like, it was cold pasteurized.
Oh.
Because if they say it's irradiated, people will not eat it or buy it. So
Absolutely.
they have been allowed by the FDA, USDA, to lie on their labels.
Well, when I did Health Talk today earlier, I read a really shockingly disturbing article about the poisoning of our drinking water and how Halliburton was...
Ooh, boy.
It's called the Halliburton loophole or something. Anyway, what happened was, long story very short, the Bush-Cheney administration deregulated the companies that were dumping the toxins, into the aquifers, and it was something called... anyway, I did Health Talk today. You'll see it on the internet and listen to it. Anyway, they deregulated the companies as far as disclosing information as to what chemicals and how much they were dumping into the waterways, into the aquifers. So it goes back to, deregulating corporations by the conservatives, even if it means destroying the planet and the environment and the very water we drink. And it was Bush Cheney that told them they could not, they did not have to disclose how much and which chemicals that they were using to dump.
Right.
Amazing. Really,
Because they're lackeys, ass kissers for the big boys, the big businesses, the oligarchs.
Oligarchs. You gotta love these conservatives, man. You gotta love them. They're going to destroy the planet ahead of its time. Oh, gas prices. I hear the price of gas in New Jersey will be approaching $4 a gallon for regular gas.
Yeah, and they're blaming it on Libya right now.
I was just going to say that. They're using Gaddafi as a feeble bullshit excuse for gouging people, for price gouging people with the price of gasoline in this country.
Libya.
What connection does Gaddafi have with the
Libya produces
OPEC?
2% of the world's oil. 2%. It's all speculation. The speculators are at it again. That's what it is.
No connection with the major producers. There was Saudi Arabia, Kuwait,
Supply and demand.
the
There's no
Emirates.
connection to supply and demand.
No, it's an excuse to gouge people. It's bullshit, and it's proof. I mean, I've never seen $4 a gallon for regular gas. This is proof. And the government, the Obama administration, is letting it all happen. Obama allowed, like, speaking of genetically engineered food, I mentioned it before. Hillary Clinton was over in Africa trying to force them or persuade them to buy Monsanto's genetically engineered seeds that are sterile, that do not produce, when you pick the vegetables and the whatever fruits, there's no, they cannot reproduce. So you have to keep on buying seeds from Monsanto year after year after year after year after year. That's a racket, isn't it?
Yes,
It's
of course.
definitely a racket.
Captive audience.
Anyway, we have our articles here on discussions. We've had so many discussions, I don't know which number this is, but it is discussions Nevertheless.
whatever. The discussions, nevertheless, number, whatever. You know, it just goes on and on and on.
And you can hear discussions every Friday starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can hear the audio section of these multitudes of Internet talk radio shows that you see on video.
The Justice Department disclosed on Wednesday it wants to require the tobacco industry to admit publicly that smoking causes a multitude of medical problems, killing 1,200 Americans every day.
No kidding.
The government proposed that a federal judge order the companies to say in advertisements that they lied to the public about safety and dangers of smoking. We falsely marketed low tar and light cigarettes as less harmful than regular cigarettes to keep people smoking and sustain our profits. One of the government's proposed statements begins. The department related its hard-hitting proposed statements after winning U.S. District Judge Gladys Kessler's approval to place them in the public record. She said she wants the industry to pay for corrective statements in various types of ads, both broadcast and print. But she has not made a final decision on what the statements will say, where they must be placed, or for how long. The judge ruled in 2006 that the tobacco industry had concealed the dangers of smoking for decades. If the judge approves the proposed statements by the cigarette makers, would become the remedy to ensure the companies don't repeat the violation. The case was brought by the government against the industry in 1999.
Oh, really?
11 years for this suit to go forward. The industry, which is expected to contest the wording of the proposed admissions, sought 90 days to respond to the government's corrective statements, but the judge denied that request. The tobacco companies have until March the 3rd to respond. There was no immediate reaction from the companies Wednesday evening. Now, if you're old enough, you remember way back in the early days of television, radio, etc.
Oh, yeah.
Doctors used to advertise cigarettes. And how good they were for your health.
Well, I know celebrities and movie stars glamorize smoking.
Oh, yeah, smoking.
You know, with the cigarette holders, and I know my grandmother, when she was alive, God rest her soul, told me she started smoking at age 14 back in the 1920s. And she told me the reason she did it is because all the movie stars with the cigarette holders, you know, I guess they all smoked, and they smoke without filters, you know, like the Camels.
Camels, I walk a mile for a Camel.
There you go. And then there's, you know, Marlboro and all these.
Oh, the Marlboro Man. You know where he ended up, don't you?
The original Marlboro Man?
The original Marlboro Man, yeah, in a hospital bed with tubes in his nose.
He had emphysema and lung cancer? Really?
Yeah.
Well, Morton Downey Jr., right? He died of lung cancer. Yul Brynner?
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't matter when they're on their deathbed and they get on TV and say, I'm on my deathbed. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't take up smoking, and I'm urging all you people out there, all my fans, to quit smoking if you're smoking already, and if you're not smoking already, don't start. Does that stop these punks, these party assholes in America?
When you study cognition and things of that nature, you know, when I tell you, I say, James, don't think of an elephant. Guess what you just did?
Start thinking about elephants?
That's correct. So you really should not be telling somebody, don't do something. You know?
Reverse psychology?
Well, yes, reverse it. It's like the today, like ever since the movie The Horse Whisperer, now people are more prone to teach their animals with reward rather than punishment. I mean, in the old days when they trained a horse, when they broke a horse, I mean, it wasn't done with reward.
It's tough love.
Yeah. Well, not even
or
love.
just abuse.
Yeah.
Abuse.
For them to get, to get the horse ready for the bridle and all this other stuff, and to train it and stuff. It was punishment.
Abuse. Like in Spain with bullfighting, even if the bull wins and gores the hell out of the bullfighter, I think they still kill the bull. The poor bull, and the bull doesn't have an equal chance because you have the bullfighter, the matador has his buddies on horseback
and all the other
with spears, sticking these spears with barbs or whatever into the bull. So it's not an even chance. It's like when Dick Cheney was hunting in that fenced-in. The
pheasants,
like animals in a corner can't escape.
Pheasants, real challenge.
Real macho man.
Yeah.
And then it reminds me of Sarah Palin on the radio with the person she thought was the Prime Minister of France, and I'm sure I like to go shooting baby fur seals. Whatever. The cute little adorable
from helicopters.
Baby fur seals from helicopters.
I can dress a moose in the field. Yeah.
Well, or if it's the Sarah Palin in the porno movie Nailin' Palin there, she can undress a moose instead of dress a moose. She was pretty. That was
I'm going to say what I was thinking because it's not true. I was going to say maybe she looks like a moose when she's undressed, but that's not true because she's a very attractive woman.
Yes, and so is that other bubble-headed booby idiot Christine O'Donnell.
The witch.
The witch. She's also attractive. Stupid as all hell, but attractive. But,
Empty skirts.
Yeah, empty skirts. Well, they're puppets. Like my grandfather used to say, "U pupu" in Italian, a marionette. There's
Pinocchio.
Well, there's other people pulling. There's
strings,
people higher up, like a New World Order, a secret society, perhaps, of elitists pulling the strings.
The Illuminati.
And what about all the elitists and famous politicians meeting in a forest in Northern California to worship a statue of an owl? I think it was Moltec or Moltec. There's some kind of pagan ritual, and nobody can get near. Alex Jones can't even get near the place. It's guarded.
So what are these pagans?
No, this is a secret society consisting of many famous elitists, nation and worldwide, that meet once a year for this convention, this big shindig where they're making sacrifices of some kind, or they light fires, and it's a big pagan.
Well, it sounds pagan to me.
It's a giant statue of an owl.
Some kind of deity, totem, whatever.
Yeah. It has to do with secret society, New World Order. Anyway, they have a meeting there and they make decisions on
that affect the world,
that affect the country and the world,
that
affect the little guy.
Of course. Scientists have estimated the first cosmic census of planets in our galaxy, and the numbers are astronomical. At least 50 billion planets in the Milky Way. At least 500 million of those planets are in the not too hot, not too cold zone where life could exist.
What region is this?
The not too hot and not too cold zone where life could exist.
It's not a very big temperature range.
The numbers were extrapolated from the early results of the telescope. Kepler science chief William Borucki says scientists took the number of planets they found in the first year of searching a small part of the night sky and then made an estimate on how likely stars are to have planets. Kepler spots planets as they pass between the Earth and the star it orbits. So far, Kepler has found 1,235 candidate planets, with 54 in the Goldilocks zone,
They have a name for everything, these scientists.
where life could possibly
Goldilocks.
exist. Kepler's main mission is not to examine individual worlds, but give astronomers a sense of how many planets, especially potentially habitable ones, there are likely to be in our galaxy. They would use the 1/400th of the night sky that Kepler is looking at and extrapolate from there. Barocci and his colleagues figured out of two stars has planets, and one of 200 stars has planets in habitable zone. Announcing these ratios at the American Association for the Advancement of Science annual conference in Washington. And that's a minimum, because these stars can have more than one planet. And Kepler has yet to get a long enough glimpse to see stars that are further out from the star-like Earth. For example, if Kepler were 1,000 light years from Earth and looking at our sun, and noticed Venus passing by, there's only a 1 in 8 chance that Earth would also be seen, astronomers said. To get the estimate for the total number of planets, scientists then took the frequency observed already and applied it to the number of stars in the Milky Way. For many years, scientists figured there were 100 billion stars in the Milky Way. But last year, a Yale scientist figured the number was closer to 300 billion stars. Either way, it shows that Carl Sagan was right when he talked of billions and billions of worlds. And that's just our galaxy. Scientists figure there are 100 billion galaxies. Barocci said the new calculations lead to worlds of questions about life elsewhere in the cosmos. The next question is, why haven't they visited us?
First of all, are they sure that there are billions of more galaxies? Are they sure there are billions of more galaxies? Are they absolutely sure of that? And why haven't they visited us? Well, it makes me think of something funny that might be if Rod Serling was still alive, it might be a Twilight Zone episode. What if in the future people from our planet found another planet that they could inhabit because the Earth was ready to die, kaput, and they land on the planet and they have they find that there's already life there, and the life forms there. It's sort of like Ellis Island. They say, where are you people from again? What? Earth? No, you can't come. You can't live on our planet. And they turn them away.
Immigration.
Yeah, immigration on an alien planet. You know what? If I was them, I'd turn Earthlings away.
Are you kidding me?
Have them contaminate.
Exactly. They treat us like an alien virus or something.
Yeah. Well, the human race is a virus.
That's what it looks like.
It's a cancer. It's it corrupts everything.
Destructive.
It touches. Yeah. It's destructive. Look how many creatures have been made extinct because of man, because of greed. Look at what's happening to the environment, the pollutions, and the food.
Just to make a buck.
The food itself has become toxic. Yeah, just to make a buck. So you think another life form on another planet is going to let Earthlings live there? No way.
Contaminating, touching, in any way harming the food should be an immediate red flag.
And that doesn't count the vile things that humans do to one another.
Yeah, well, that too.
That's not count. That's another talk show in itself. But anyway,
scientists have pieced together most of the DNA of a man
Yeah.
who lived in Greenland about 4,000 years ago.
Okay.
A pioneering feat that revealed hints about his appearance and even an increased risk of baldness.
Is Greenland still owned by Denmark? Or is
You realize that there's one continent on the face of the earth that nobody owns.
Antarctica?
True.
And it's the driest place on the planet, drier than the Sahara Desert, the Gobi Desert, or any desert. It is the rain, the amount of rainfall.
But it's ice.
It gets nothing actually.
It's ice.
Yeah, it's true. All the
Wouldn't be getting any rain.
all the moisture immediately freezes. Since it's colder than the North Pole, than the Arctic Circle.
Colder than a witch's tit, man. Believe me.
How the hell, you know what? How the hell do those cute little penguins, you know, they're just hopping around, flapping their flippers, they look so happy. How do they survive and flourish and look so happy all the time?
Yeah, you would figure. I mean, yeah, sure, they got fat all over the
In
body.
the coldest
But
part
what about
of
their eyes? What about their ears? What about these parts of their bodies don't have
It's amazing.
huge amounts of fat
And
on
they
them.
swim in that water.
And they swim in that water.
And,
yeah.
and then again, what about the krill that many creatures eat in the Antarctic? The little tiny little shrimp, the krill. They have no problem with the frigid temperatures.
yeah.
And the predatory leopard seal, I think, that preys on the penguins. Same thing.
There's also life down at the bottoms of volcanoes, living in those extreme temperatures.
Well, you
And
know
then at the
what?
bottom of the oceans.
It does. I was just going to say
pressure and
the
everything.
deepest parts of, let's say, the Pacific Ocean. If there's creatures that can survive in darkness and extreme pressure that would crush us like an eggshell or a submarine, if creatures could survive those harsh conditions, I mean, could you imagine? I mean, they said there was bacteria on Mars, right?
Uh,
Or maybe a fungi,
water.
water. Bacteria. But anyway, getting back to the planet.
It's the first genome
Yeah.
from an ancient human showing the potential for what one expert called a time machine for learning about the biology of ancient people. Analysis suggests the Greenland man probably had type A positive blood, brown eyes, darker skin than most Europeans, dry earwax, an increased chance of going bald, and several biological adaptations for weathering a cold climate. The DNA also indicated the man had dark, thick hair, a trait the scientists observed directly, since that's where the genetic material came from. More importantly, comparisons of his DNA with that of present-day Arctic peoples shed light on the mysterious origins of the man's cultural group, the Sakwa, the earliest known culture to settle in Greenland.
Yeah, well, Greenland is there's land down there like Antarctica. It's not all ice like the North Pole, but nobody cares about it because it's a wasteland.
It's because of Leif Erikson, because he named Iceland to keep people away, and he named Greenland, because it was ice and everything, for people would go there.
Yeah, because Iceland, which is an island, has a lot of geothermal activity, and the Gulf Stream kind of like ricochets off of Iceland, and has volcanic, and it's from what I understand, it's not frigid like the name implies.
That's right.
And plus, there are tremendously a lot more women than there are men. The ratio of
And
men
there's
to women.
also a bunch of alcoholics.
So if you're a single,
nothing to do out
if
there.
you're a single man and you want to like Scandinavian-looking girls, all platinum blonde hair, take a vacation to Greenland. It'll be like
Iceland.
You'll be like a. I'm
Iceland.
sorry. I hit myself with the shillelagh.
Punish the head.
Iceland.
Punish the head.
Take a vacation to Iceland, and you'll have a cornucopia of blonde-haired women all over you, especially if they find out you're American. But yeah, so it's amazing, you know, that. Oh, by the way, I think the reason why the people of very cold parts of the world, like the Inuit, Eskimos, and the Greenland man, I think the reason why they have very dark hair and dark skin is similar to, let's say, creatures like reptiles who live in the northern hemispheres are black. I think because darker colors absorb the sun's radiation a lot more than lighter colors.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes, which doesn't explain the Swedes and the Norwegians and, you know, the Danish, the Scandinavian people, but
yeah,
I
but
think
they migrated there. Probably they weren't of that land.
they're Teutonic tribes of Germany. You know, like
Well, actually, most of them are of the 10 tribes of Israel.
yeah. Well, like you say,
Denmark.
like the United States and Great Britain,
Great
Ephraim
Britain.
and Manasseh, the cursed tribes, 10 tribes that were destined to fail
They
according to
migrated there from Assyria.
Bible prophecy. So forget about what the conservatives tell you. The flag waving, Yankee Doodle dandy, America can never do no wrong. All these idiots that vote red. No. Bible prophecy says it's not God's country. It's the devil's economics. And now that the conservatives have taken over Congress, you can be sure that the end time prophecy will be fulfilled. You know?
Results suggest his ancestors migrated from Siberia
Right.
some 5,500 years ago. It's not clear how or why they migrated. The analysis shows the now extinct Saquak were not direct ancestors of today's Inuits or Native Americans. The researchers nicknamed the man Inuk, which is Greenlandic for human or man. The DNA was recovered from a tuft of hair that had been excavated in 1986 from permafrost on Greenland's west coast north of the Arctic Circle.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands of years in a deep freeze was key to preserving the genetic material. But most ancient human remains come from warmer places with less potential for preservation. And scientists said it's not clear how often DNA from such samples would allow for constructing a genome. For the new paper, the researchers identified particular markers in the man's DNA and then turned to studies of modern-day people that have associated those markers with particular traits like eye color, blood type, and tendency toward baldness. As scientists link more and more markers to biological traits in modern people, they will be able to apply those findings to learn more about the Greenland man. It's sort of like a time machine. While the DNA-based picture isn't definitive, it's a pretty good guess. We're really beginning to zoom in on physical characteristics of individuals we'll never see.
Interesting. Well, you learn something every time. You can never know too much, and you never really know everything. You know, I'm always learning new things. You know, it's just shocking.
It's shocking.
It's really shocking, you know. But, you know, America's preoccupied with stupid, asinine things, you know, like I had to answer some idiot on YouTube.
Uh-oh.
I told him, I said, look, the videos and programs and shows with important content where you actually learn something, some information that you can use to improve your life or make you a better person. That doesn't get a lot of attention. It's all the asinine things, you know, the what Lady Gaga's up to, and Snooki from Jersey Shore, what she's up to, and Justin Bieber, the skinny punk with the Mo Howard haircut, you know, what they're up to,
Or how to apply makeup.
how to apply makeup. My God. All these girls, all these young girls, if they're pretty and they're model material, all they're preoccupied with is talking about applying makeup, how to make themselves look more gorgeous and possibly fashion obsessed, you know. But it's the makeup. They want to, I guess they want to see how much attention they get. Their number one priority for a young chickie poo is attention, from what I understand. Not necessarily getting the stiff shillelagh or finding a real man, but how much attention they get in clubs when they go out with their friends, whatever. The beach, attention for their insecure egos, perhaps, you know.
Yeah.
And then if they see a real macho man with a stiff shillelagh,
Woo.
they wouldn't even know what to do with it. They probably would freak out, you know, unless they were a porn star.
No more wondering where your hamburger came from or where your lettuce and tomatoes were grown. Shoppers will soon see lots more foods labeled with the country of origin. It's a law years in the making, but timely, as China's milk scandal and recent salmonella-tainted Mexican peppers prompt growing concern over the safety of imported food.
I didn't even hear about that.
The peppers?
Peppers?
Yeah.
Salmonella?
Oh, yeah.
How does salmonella, that usually occurs on poultry, right, on a raw
It
poultry,
comes from the poop.
pooping on peppers? Peter Piper pooped on a pepper.
Well, because
Not pickled pepper, it was raw.
these places that
I'm not urinating, people. I'm pouring my tea.
Produce vegetables and stuff like that
Yeah.
also have the animals there, and the waste somehow contaminated.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this, because years ago, during the fall, you know, like the end of September, early October, I used to go apple picking, and here in the Northeast, you know, autumn is very beautiful with the foliage turning different colors. Anyway, there was a place I used to go to. I think it was either Montvale, New Jersey, or Woodcliff Lake. It was called Tice's Farms.
Yeah.
They're not there anymore. I used to go there, and they had all you can drink for like 25 cents or
Cider.
50 cents apple cider, fresh apple
Real
cider.
type of cider with the mother in it and the father
Mother
and
right
everything
out of the
else.
tap, man.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I'm telling you, right out of the tap. And there were a lot of yellow jacket hornets buzzing around the tap, because I guess they could smell the sweetness of the cider. I stood there with my cup, and I must have drank 2 gallons of friggin' apple cider. 2 gallons of apple cider, and it was delicious and fermented too. And I was on the toilet bowl for a whole day after that, because of all.
Speaking of diarrhea,
But anyway, what they had told, what came out in the news later, was that the fecal matter of the deer droppings, deer shit, whatever you want to call it, or poo-poo, when the deer love apples, so the deer would go through the orchard and eat the apples of its choice that were fallen from the tree. And a lot of the cider apples were ripened apples picked from the ground.
yeah.
You know, they're not going to waste anything in the orchard. Anyway, the salmonella, no, E. coli, I'm sorry. Not salmonella, E. coli
yeah.
bacteria from the deer guano or fecal matter or whatever was on the apple, the skins of the apple, and apparently some of them were not properly washed, like Gary Null teaches you, you know, how to wash your produce. and people had gotten infected with E. coli from the apples. So
Until now, shoppers have had little clue where many everyday foods, meats, fresh fruits, veggies, certain nuts originate. That's what the so-called cool law for country of origin labeling changes. Those who want to buy local, or who prefer, say, Chilean grapes and New Zealand lamb, can more easily exercise their purchasing power.
you better hope there's no DDT used in South American produce.
There is. Those worried about lax safety regulations in certain countries can avoid those imports. And the next time tomatoes are suspected of food poisoning, consumers may be able to tell investigators they bought only ones grown in a certain region. We do see it as an important step on the road to a more comprehensive system for tracing food items. It will be a very good thing because we will have a lot more information. Here's a quick rundown of the new law's implications. Number 1,
Yeah.
the law requires that retailers notify customers of the country of origin of raw beef, veal, lamb, pork, chicken, goat, wild and farm-raised fish and shellfish, fresh or frozen fruits and vegetables,
Shellfish, right?
peanuts, pecans, macadamia nuts, and whole ginseng.
Ginseng.
Number 2, you will see
That'll give you a stiff shillelagh. Ginseng.
You will see the country of origin anywhere it fits. On the rubber band around asparagus, the plastic wrap on ground beef, the little sticker that says Gala on an apple. If a food isn't normally sold in any packaging, such as a bin of fresh green beans or mushrooms, then the store must post a sign. 3, the biggest exception is processed foods, meaning no label if the food is cooked or an ingredient in a bigger dish or otherwise substantially changed. So plain raw chicken must be labeled, but not breaded chicken tenders.
Well, yeah. Oh, but incidentally, are fast food chains required to disclose nutritional ingredients?
I don't know.
And well, they should be, every one of them.
Uh-huh. So raw pork chops are labeled, but not ham or bacon. Fresh or frozen peas get labeled, but not canned peas. Raw shelled pecans, but not a trail mix.
Wouldn't it be funny if they sold a can of peas with a print of cans of peas on the canopy? Wouldn't that be the funniest thing in the world?
Number 4. Foods mixed together are exempt. Cantaloupe slices from Guatemala get labeled. Mix in some Florida watermelon chunks and no label. Frozen peas labeled. Frozen peas and carrots, no label. How do they figure that one?
They just
Number 5.
make up these rules as a,
Meat and seafood sold in butcher shops and fish markets are exempt. Number 6. The law goes into effect today, although the USDA won't begin fining laggards until the spring. Violations can bring $1,000 penalty. That's a joke. These big companies, what the hell is $1,000 fine to them?
it's nothing to them.
Yeah.
Actually, the government agencies should fine themselves for being incompetent.
Well, they deliberately put CEOs in there to be incompetent. British candy maker Cadbury said Monday that it is recalling 11 types of Chinese-made chocolates found to contain melamine.
Uh-oh. You remember melamine from the tainted from China, mainland China? There was a melamine tainted pet food, was it?
Yeah.
And
no,
many
wasn't that baby food? Pet food too.
pet
yes.
food and
Pet
baby food.
Baby food.
And people lost their pets because
Yeah.
of the melamine poisoning.
A lot of people.
Cats
lost.
and dogs, yeah, in America. Well, you know what? You can't put all the blame on the Chinese. You have to blame the American corporations
That's correct.
with their bottom line, obsessed, greedy, wicked ways about outsourcing the manufacturing and everything for the buck. You
and
know,
supporting the Chinese corporations or whatever for doing bad things, for not doing the right thing by their workers.
profit before people,
That's correct.
not doing the right thing.
As police in northern China raided a network accused of adding the banned chemical to milk. A Cadbury spokesman said it was too early to say how much of the chemical was in the chocolates made at its Beijing plant. Isn't Cadbury a British
Yeah,
company? Well, yeah.
I don't care for
Not
that.
anymore.
I like Lindt from Switzerland. I like dark chocolate.
Godiva and the what's that other one? Ghirardelli.
You know what?
The dark chocolate.
No. Well, see, Lindt actually gives you the percentage of cocoa used. Like one bar will say, like, I think 85%. One will say
Yeah.
95%. But
That's good.
you see what happened? You saw what happened last week. I brought my thermos didn't have the tea. It had the hot cocoa.
Yeah.
And all it was 4 level. It's 32 ounces in the quart of the thermos, right? I had 4 level teaspoons of baker's cocoa, not fancy organic baker's cocoa from the local ShopRite supermarket, cheap as hell, man. And 4 level teaspoons of imported Colombian turbinado sugar, which is pretty much the dehydrated sugarcane juice, and it tasted great. I shook it up. I let it sit overnight with the scalding water in here, and it was pretty. He smelt it. Reverend Bill smelt it.
Another spokesman at the company's London office, said the factory supplies Australia, Taiwan, Nauru, Hong Kong, and Christmas Island.
Where the hell's Nauru?
Don't know. Nauru. Nauru.
Is that where a lot of neurologists go to school?
Oh my God.
Nauru.
Meanwhile, police in Hebei province arrested 22 people, seized more than 480 pounds of the chemical used to make plastics. In the raids, the official Xinhua news agency reports said the melamine was produced in illicit plants and sold to breeding farms and purchasing stations.
Breeding farms.
Breeding has something to do with making the animals bigger,
Yeah.
weighing more so they can get more moor for them.
Well, all I know is when you consume livestock, whether it be pork, chicken, or beef, that is free range, organic free range, where the chicken, let's take a chicken for example, instead of being cooped up where it can't move and have a large percentage of fat on their body, they're allowed to run as far as they want
And scratch
and
eat the bugs.
a wide variety of foods that chickens normally eat, which happens to be whatever they can get their little beaks on. They're omnivores, they're scavengers, they're opportunists. A chicken will clean up your yard. If you have an insect problem, don't worry about it. The chicken will get it. Even field mice. The flavor of a natural free-range chicken is far superior than any crap you get in the supermarket with that thick layer of blubber and God knows how many hormones, antibiotics are in that chicken. Now, Jim Perdue claims now in his commercials that his chickens are 100% hormone-free. Seems like a nice guy. He sounds sincere. Maybe he's telling the truth.
Yeah, but he's still factory farming, so.
But it's factory farming, yeah, where they get the same feed every day, and maybe they're loaded with antibiotics. You want to take a break and take your vitamins?
Well, no, let's go until the end because
when you take your vitamins,
before I die.
Okay, when you take your vitamins and or eat, you're going to do it in the same broadcasting studio, right?
Yeah.
So no matter where you are, I could flap my jaw. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. One more.
Cody Miller was a high school football player who was allergic to ragweed. Douglas Briggs was a doctor coping with pain from an old back injury. Both are now dead.
Really?
Hanging victims driven to suicide. Their families believe when drugs prescribed to relieve physical symptoms upset their mental and emotional balance. Federal drug regulators are investigating to see if the families could be correct. Until now, the FDA's attention to the suicide risk of medications has focused on psychiatric drugs, such as antidepressants prescribed to youngsters.
Oh my God! A lot of
this
negative.
year,
Yeah.
officials unexpectedly, broadened their concerns to include a medication for asthma, drugs controlling seizures, and even one for quitting smoking. Those are medical conditions not usually associated with psychiatric disorders. Several independent experts say the safety alarms point to a gap in the FDA's knowledge of how drugs affect the brain. Even if medications are intended for physical conditions, some drugs can have unforeseen consequences if they are able to enter the brain. A group at Columbia University has developed a method for assessing the suicide risks of drugs, possibly helping identify risks before a medication goes on the market. But the FDA only requires use of such assessments on a case-by-case basis. Drug companies say no cause and effect link has been established that would tie the medications under scrutiny to suicides. Also, some doctors worry that the talk of suicide may scare patients with serious illnesses away from drugs that could help. For example, depression. A major risk factor for suicide is associated with physical illness. Cody Miller, 15, began using Singulair for his allergies in the summer of 2007. He switched from a different drug after a new doctor assured his mother that once a day Singulair was better. When the teenager became moody and anxious, his parents were surprised. He had no history of emotional problems, but they did not connect it to the drug. About 2 weeks after he started taking his new medication, he hanged himself in an upstairs closet of the family home in Queensbury, New York. Some 2 months later, the New Jersey-based company that makes Singulair updated its prescribing literature to report that some patients had experienced suicidal thinking and behavior. If you'll notice, why, even Lunesta and Chantix and all of these drugs for small, minor problems risk suicidal ideation. What the hell?
Oh boy!
Why would you take something that's going to have that kind of an effect on you for, to quit smoking or to sleep at night or something like that? Why would you take that?
I think I have a theory. I have a hunch that a lot of psychiatrists are too quick to prescribe these drugs to people just to shut them up, so the psychiatrists don't have to work for a living and actually talk to their patients and allow their patients to talk about their problems and what's bothering them. I think it's just a way of shutting people up, similar to a mental institution or a nursing home, drugging people So they're walking zombies, and they don't have to deal with them.
No trouble. So they
No
don't cause
trouble.
any trouble. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Thorazine, the first,
Mm-hmm.
what you would call psychiatric drug. Thorazine made you a walking zombie, and you know.
Thorazine was the first. I mean, there are other natural, safe alternatives. St. John's wort extract, which is hypericum, is good for depression. But you were telling me last week, a lot of times people should just start. Most of the time, they should start with the basic nutritional formula.
Yeah, because most times,
yeah.
just lack of certain B vitamins could be a cause of depression.
Take a high B complex 50 milligram capsule with every meal. Take magnesium, calcium, magnesium, zinc.
Pellagra beriberi, one of the symptoms is depression.
There you go. Vitamin A, natural vitamin A. It pisses me off that it's so hard to find fish liver oil, retinol, natural animal source
It's going to
vitamin
be
A.
harder with the Codex Alimentarius, believe
Now
me.
you got synthetic, what is it,
bastards.
retinol palmitate?
Yeah.
Retinol palmitate. Oh, by the way, you're one of our co-workers here, Gilda from Brazil, is taking natural vitamin E.
E?
At least 400 units per day.
We take it.
She and coenzyme Q10, right?
Yeah.
CoQ10.
I don't think it came in yet. We're waiting.
Now you know Dr. Atkins used to rave about hawthorn berry for cardiac patients.
Cardiac patients, yeah.
Hawthorn berry extra. He called it a godsend. You know, I wonder if they ever made a sadomasochistic spanking fetish movie using a shillelagh.
No way, Jose.
You think it'll make a very
that
good?
sounds like abuse to me.
You don't think it'll make a good tool for
No.
a spanking fetish movie?
What are you going to do, spank a head?
No, on the ass.
Nah, it doesn't have enough area to hit with.
You mean it won't make a good crack?
Yeah, well, not in a good crack, but an area. You know, you take a ping pong paddle, you're hitting a nice big area.
Yeah, you're probably right. You know what? This year, I hope I find a place with all-you-can-eat corned beef and cabbage.
Oh, boy.
Because last year, a lot of restaurants got cheap. That's another talk show. You cheap bastards that run the restaurant industry in the United States with the little portions. Screw that. I go for the upscale buffets and all-you-can-eats.
Some 2 months later, the New Jersey-based company that makes Singulair
Yeah.
updated its prescribing literature to report that some patients had experienced suicidal thinking and behavior. But Merck said that only may be a coincidence,
The infamous Merck.
because there were no such reports during controlled clinical trials with the drug. An independent study by the American Lung Association supports Merck's conclusion. Without completely answering the question, the research looked at measures of emotional well-being in 3 clinical trials sponsored by the association and found a positive effect on emotional outlook in patients taking Singulair. By the way, I wanted to add before, when you were talking about psychiatrists, there are people who do not regard psychiatrists as real doctors. And psychiatrists, and even one of their own, what's his name?
Sigmund Freud.
No.
Yeah, but isn't the mind a part of the body? Is it?
Yeah,
isn't
but the
mind?
problem is that the psychiatrists have for years, they have no physical evidence.
Oh, it's not physiological.
They will say, oh, it's a balance of, it's a
Chemical imbalance or a neuro. Yeah.
But there's no proof thereof.
Ah, I
So
understand.
people do not regard them as real, and they keep with this drug stuff, you know, and with this theory of chemical imbalance, and it just doesn't work out. Because
Yeah, they say you have a chemical imbalance. They don't say anything about curing you.
Yeah.
They say, oh, for your chemical imbalance, you need to take this prescription drug. And of course, every time you go to the psychiatrist to refill the prescription, you have to pay this crook $75
Right.
or whatever, $100 an hour, whatever the hell they get They don't really talk to your psychiatrist. They just
No.
refill the prescription. It's a good life.
Yeah, that's the problem, because they don't know what they're doing. They haven't in the last 100 years.
I don't know who's a bigger crook in the healthcare profession, dentists or psychiatrists. I really don't.
Well, they tried to say that chiropractors were.
Chiropractors are the closest thing in the medical. Well, they're not. They're not MDs naturally. Osteopaths are MDs, right?
Yeah.
Osteopath. Yeah, but they're the closest thing to the natural holistic movement. I think more famous medical nutritionists that are on the radio were either chiropractors or osteopaths than any other profession, to be honest
Well,
with you.
the chiropractors were shown by studies and etc. to be able to deal with back pain.
Through manipulation
Through,
of
you
the subluxation is when your nerve is being pinched by the vertebrae. They call it
They were the only
subluxation.
ones who were able to handle such a problem.
Yeah. Well, through adjusting the vertebrae, they alleviate the pressure off the nerve, and that's called the subluxation. And it's a very good foundation for becoming a holistic practitioner, a medical nutritionist.
Yeah, well, many of them are, yeah.
Yeah.
The research looked at measures of emotional well-being in 3 clinical trials sponsored by the association and found a positive effect on emotional outlook in patients taking Singulair. But the study, set to appear Monday in the Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology, was not designed specifically to look for suicidal thinking or actions. Watch list. All antidepressants such as Prozac, Paxil, and Zola. Anticonvulsives such as Depakote, Lyrica, Neurontin. Oh, here. Chantix. The FDA is investigating whether the smoking cessation drug triggers psychiatric symptoms. Singulair. The agency also is probing whether the drug for asthma and allergies can prompt suicidal thoughts. Accutane. The acne drug carries a warning that it may cause suicidal thoughts and behavior in rare cases.
Yeah, that's
all you're doing is adding it to your skin. But they screw with the basic vitamin A.
Well, Retin A is vitamin A acid in a prescription. It's a cream that exfoliates the skin, and Accutane is a patented drug version of vitamin A.
Yeah.
All you have to do is take the right amount of natural vitamin A in therapeutic dosages. That's all you need to do, and take zinc. If your child has any acne, zinc gluconate, 50 milligrams a day. Vitamin A, about 25,000 units when you have a problem.
Normally, yeah, if you're just taking it.
Yeah.
I would go to 35, 10 in my multi, and 25 on the side.
Well,
if possible.
Like at Swanson Vitamins, they have a fish liver oil vitamin A, but it's half retinol palmitate. It's half dry and half retinol from fish liver oils. I used to be able to get vitamin A and D in one soft gel from cod liver oil, mega strength. I would get 400 units of D, 10,000 units of A in one tiny soft gel capsule. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, no, it's half dry synthetic palmitate. Now you have to go take your vitamins. Okay. And then we'll take a slight break, and I'll do a promo for the newsletter Censored. And I want to show people what it looks like when an embryo painting looks like of a cat.
A painting that breathes like an embryo.
Yeah, the embryo that breathes like a fish. But I mean, I just like to show people what a watercolor painting looks like when it's born, when it's in the embryonic stage, when the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisman first starts making it.
Yeah.
But anyway, take a little slight break. Okay, we're back from the break. Now, I just want to show you people you know. I know I did it once before. Of course, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is a fine watercolor artist, and I showed you the photo of what the hell is that girl's name again? The beginning stages of her painting. I forgot. The one from New Mexico.
Sharon.
Sharon. Okay. Now this is the very beginnings. I don't want you morons out there in cyberspace to think that this is a finished painting, because I know some of you people are going to think it is. He just started it. The basic foundation of a painting of a cat that he happens to have, a new kitty. Okay, what is this? The cat of contentment, or the contented cat, or it's a cat taking a little nap with the eyes closed, relaxing. This is the beginnings of a watercolor painting. You know, we're animal lovers here at Newsletter Censored, and Dr. Bill loves cats, and this is does the cat have a name yet?
PC.
PC. Politically correct, or just personal computer, or politically correct?
I don't know. I didn't name her.
Whatever. PC. That is the embryonic stage of a watercolor painting of an animal, in this case a cat. Alright? So I just want you people to see what it looks like when Dr. Bill first starts a painting. Alright, then of course when it's done I'll show it to you. Now, that takes care of that. Oh boy. Now the other one is not done yet, right? The woman in question, Sharon, or it is done?
Almost. That one's done.
Oh, almost. Well, this one I showed 2 or 3 times. All right. This one's almost done. You saw it when it first began, and it's about, what, 95%, 99, 98%?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. Almost done, Sharon, all right?
Do a little more work on the hair.
A little more work on the hair is required, right? You got that, people? All right. Now, the newsletter. This is what... Oh, man. This is what this is all about. Our websites, the internet talk radio shows that you listen to on the Mega Life 21 station, newslettercensored.com, these shows, the video shows. My God, I think we have... We're closing in on 900 videos totally on our YouTube video channel. But anyway, Newsletter Censored was founded in 1977 by my mentor and co-host, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. All right. And it contains the 5 taboos of American life, which is politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. Okay, there's more information in the newsletter than there is on our talk shows or websites. This is the hard-hitting truth that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? This is a sample of the new issue titled The Hidden Enemy by William J. Eisman, Ph.D. All right.
Which I might add, people are talking about it, but they are not giving any credit to me or the article. But they are mentioning it on progressive radio.
Really?
Meaning that certain people that receive the newsletter
and actually
are talking about it.
Wait a minute. You're talking about Gary Knowles, Progressive Radio?
And Tom Hartman.
Station, and Tom Hartman, and it definitely, as a fact, somebody quoted this
They
news.
didn't quote it. They talked about it, indicating that they had read it.
So
That's what I'm saying. They did not give an attribution.
Right, but you heard the word censored mentioned?
The article.
Oh, the hidden enemy. Was your name brought up? But the hidden enemy had to be It had to be this.
mentioning of what it was about, of
Right.
how the coup was taking place against FDR,
Right.
General Smedley Butler, etc.
But it was this article from this publication, from this newsletter. Well, you know what? That's good news. But in this article, well, we have the political monologue at the beginning, the hidden enemy, and then once in a blue moon, once in a big while, yours truly, James P. Madonna, writes Health Talk. That happens to be in here. Then you have The God Project by William J. Eisenman, Doctor of Divinity, because he does have a doctorate of divinity, theology, whatever you want, and he's an ordained minister. Then you have Sexuality, a Holistic Approach at the end by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D. But anyway, this is the foundation of our organization. This is the very best way to be a part of our organization. If you want to join us, get your annual subscription with your gift to support this work, because we do need money to keep things going. All right? Go to www.newslettercensored.com and read the hard-hitting information that's on that website, and click on the printable order form. And with your gift to support this work, get your annual subscription now. Now, for those of you that see this program on the internet, which will be new when you see it, be brand new. We're trying a little something new and different. We have a new introduction to the internet version of discussions, the Newsletter Censored team. I know we use one of Johann Sebastian Bach's songs for the radio discussions, Brandenburg Concerto we're using now. But what we're going to do for this show, starting with this show, it's interesting. Hey, I haven't heard this noisy bastard all day. Now all of a sudden, right? Now all of a sudden it's going on. Anyway, what was I going to say? What you're going to see is a roaring fireplace with a shorter version of Bolero as an introduction. So when they click on this show, they'll see the roaring, not animated, realistic looking fireplace for a brief amount of time with the song Bolero, because what happened was when the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman and myself started doing Internet Talk Radio with Alternicast, which is no more, right? All right. A company called Alternicast. And you had to pay for your airtime, the bastards. Hold on. Where's my shillelagh? You had to pay for the airtime, the bastards, rat bastards. Anyway, when we first started, our theme song was Bolero. Bolero with Dr. Bill's voice reciting certain things, certain tidbits of information. But anyway, we'll give it a shot. It looked pretty good to me. I saw it, you know, and yeah, it's a roaring fireplace, and with Bolero going. So that's our new intro. But anyway, this is the heart of what we do. Get your subscription now, newslettercensored.com. Get it now. And thank you for joining us. Hold on. Right at the end of the show, you know what? The fact that we haven't heard it means that an early spring might very well be upon us.
Good.
Say goodbye to everybody.
Hasta la vista.
We'll see you.